Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Tenbound Sales Development Conference. We are so excited to have you here. We have a lineup of some of the top professionals in the sales development industry, diving into the people, the processes, the technology, and all the aspects that they're using right now today in this tough market to build a predictable pipeline and revenue engine at their companies. So get out your notebook, take a lot of notes, interact with folks in the chat, and ask a lot of questions, because today is going to be action-packed and an incredibly informative session. So at Tenbound, we've been really focused on the insights and intelligence to be able to drive a predictable pipeline and revenue number for your company, working with individual contributors, managers, and leadership in the pipeline and revenue space. And I like to say you can literally figuratively get your PhD in SDR over at tenbound.com for free. And when you're ready for some more help and advisory services, it's very easy to upgrade either to our Tenbound Plus membership or reach out and we can set up an advisory call and just figure out what you're trying to achieve and how we might be able to help you get there. And big thanks to our sponsors today for putting on the conference. We have some of the top names in our industry, and we actually track these companies in the Tenbound sales technology marketplace that's right now on tenbound.com/directory. And we've gathered up the top sales technology providers in our industry, and each one has a listing and information about how they could potentially help you. I definitely would encourage you to go and check out all the different things. I think in the last sales tech market map that we put together, there's over 500 companies that are focused on helping you build pipeline and revenue. And we've worked with dozens of them, some of the best companies out there that are serving our market. So I especially like to shout out to CloudTask and LeadGraph. They've been super supportive, and they're here today to be able to help you learn a bit more about what they're doing. CloudTask has put together the world's first marketplace for outsourced SDR agencies and outsourced SDRs all over the world, and they're making that connection. LeadGraph has put together what I think is one of the most powerful lead prioritization and graphing mechanisms to be able to find the right people at the right time who are in market and ready to potentially talk to you as an SDR. So for me, that sounds super exciting. And they've been amazing to work with and helping us put this on today. So thank you. So we're talking tactical pipeline generation today. And when I talk about tactical pipeline generation, it's not your ivory tower, creating your ideal customer profile and defining your personas and then putting the messaging together and sending the team out to go and contact people. This is actually the daily prospecting and following up on inbound leads that we do every day as an SDR or an inside salesperson. And with all the changes that have taken place in the technology stack, how can we actually leverage these new technologies and these new changes to become what I like to call the superhuman SDR? And you can look at it like all these changes and technological advances are going to replace me, and there's not going to be any more SDRs. And I know that people are out there saying that. I completely disagree. I think that there's going to be a need for SDRs even more than ever. It's just that you have to be much better at your job, and you have to be much more tech savvy to be able to be effective. because all the technology advances not only make it easier for people to be able to do things at scale, but it also increases the competition for attention that you're really focused on as an SDR. In other words, your prospects are still out there. They're trying to solve problems. They're trying to get ahead in their career, and you might have the exact solution that they need. But in order for them to be able to connect with you, they need to talk to you. And so while they're getting messages and approaches by dozens of solution providers every day, they're filtering those out based on what's the most relevant, what problems that they're trying to solve right now, and are you the right person that could potentially help them to solve that? And so with the tools and the technology that has been developed, especially as AI applications have become more advanced, now I look at it as sort of a dividing point between, are you going to become that superhuman SDR or inside salesperson, or are you potentially going to be left behind and eventually not being able to compete and sort of become obsolete to some extent? And I think, based on our research at Tenbound and working with SDR teams every day and working with their leadership, that we're closer than you may think, as far as when there's sort of an inflection point where you either have to become sort of an Iron Man like SDR, or you could potentially be left behind. So for me, I think that the superhuman SDR is much closer than you think. And so there's a few trends of being able to utilize the technology to become even better as an SDR. And I found this very wise quote from someone that we all know very well. I really think that AI applications are the most important technological advancements in sales development since the telephone. And if you think about it, we still use the phone. The phone is probably the most effective way to have instant communication and talk to people. But just in the last 6 months, as AI has become more applicable and useful for sales development and the inside sales team, I mean, this is an order of magnitude on what we were trying to do just a couple of years ago. And so I'll take you back. This is the old way, and when I first got into sales development, and to some extent still how a lot of companies are doing it today. They leave a lot of the daily tactical work to the SDR to just sort of figure out. And there's a lot of tools involved. There may be some training, but really at the end of your stand-up, and you may even be working at home, the old way is sort of, okay, I've got my day out ahead of me. I need to prioritize this myself based on what I think are the top prospects and where I should be spending my time. And then I need to be able to research the prospects and get some information about them on what they're potentially working on and what problems that they're trying to solve, so that I can then put that into a personalized message and cut above the noise, so that I'm not just sending out spam and or making uninformed calls. I actually have a piece of data that I can use that might potentially drive the conversation forward. And then it's a lot of doing endless repetitious activities, checking boxes and updating things in the system it's like a never-ending cycle of things that you have to constantly be doing. And then what happens a lot is, after 6 to 8 months of doing this, a lot of SDRs start to look around and go, is it time now? Can can I upgrade to becoming a inside sales AE full cycle so I can build my skills? Or are there other opportunities potentially in the company? Or maybe I should start looking around for something else. It's just a burnout, of doing it this way. And now, if you think about it, there's several different ways where instead of that model of your day, you're instead looking at where is my time the most valuable, and how can I offload a lot of the repetitious and time-consuming tasks to AI, and instead focus on having conversations with people one-to-one, more of those conversations, and leading to more interesting conversations that eventually become meetings, bringing in more people in the meetings. That becomes pipeline, more revenue is created, and you're having more fun. Because the reason that most people get into sales and they become an SDR is because they like people, and they like talking to people, and they like making things happen and moving things forward, and not necessarily essentially working in a library where you're doing research all day and pressing buttons, in order to move your process forward. So that's, and this isn't an overnight, transformation that you could make. There's a lot of details that go into setting it up like this, but that's the promise of some of the AI tools that are out there, and how they could potentially help SDRs. So I look at it this way. There's so many advancements that have happened, over the course of the last 6 months. Just as a side note, if you look at the Tenbound sales tech market map, it's already outdated, and we need to create a new one. And we've been just waiting to see how this latest round of new technological advances plays out, before we completely reformat the market map. So version 10 is going to come, but it's probably going to be later in the year, so that we can see how many of these actually shake out to be real useful tools that SDRs and inside salespeople are utilizing. So some of the big ones we've been working on for years. Other ones have really just been coming up lately, and with a new spin have been adding momentum. So lead scoring and predictive analytics, personalized outreach, data enrichment and research, automated follow-ups, and then overall sales performance analytics. Just a few of the AI advancements that you could potentially use. So let's talk about lead scoring and prioritization. This essentially answers the question, where should I spend my time? And so in a perfect world, you would be able to see where to spend your time based on the data that you have on your ideal customer profile and your personas within your own database. And then also scraping the entire web to see how you can triangulate between your ideal customer profile and the research that's available out there on the web. And all that information is taken in, and the AI actually creates your to-do list for the day. And we're seeing some tools out there that are being able to do this. They're actually, and all the tools are listed at the Tenbound website under articles. So we're seeing a few advancements where you use your internal data and the web to be able to scrape out and create your prioritized list for the day of where you should spend your time based on where you're going to get the biggest bang for the buck. So the AI model creates the prospect list for you, and then gives you the list sorted by the highest propensity to buy, and then reprioritizes it based on the work that you've done already. So now if you've been able, you go in on Monday, you start calling out to people, you start contacting people, you make a connection, the AI can go in and see that, know that, and then take that out of the list moving forward. And so that you're back to the next day where it's reshuffled and reprioritized. So this is super exciting. If you think about it, like one of the biggest issues is just where do I spend my time? Who should I call? What should I be doing right now? This really helps to solve that. Personalized outreach. This is a huge thing. And I think this one probably has the most adoption so far that we've seen in the SDR world, where instead of having to either sit there and use outdated templates that are in your sales engagement platform or stuff that your manager made up and they think that it's a pretty good message. Now, there's dozens of solutions where it pops out right from the side of your browser and looks at the information that you could potentially have on your end in the database, but then also the information that's out on the web and uses a ChatGPT connection or other database to create a message for you that could potentially resonate with your prospect. And so instead of you having to sit there and figure out what the next best message is, at least you have something to work with. You know, they can sound a little stuffy and like it sounds like it's created by a computer. And even now, you start to read blog posts, and if you've messed around with ChatGPT at all, you start to see like, okay, this was obviously written by AI. So you can't just rely on what the AI is giving you as far as the message, but at least it gives you something to start to work on, and it's smarter than just trying to figure it out yourself, and it's faster. So this is one that we've seen being adopted quite a bit. Data enrichment and research. I mean, if you think about the possibilities of, I mean, literally in the old days, if you really were doing enterprise sales prospecting and you wanted to talk, they call them a veto, very important top officer, you would spend days, you know, scouring through 10K reports and analyst calls and trying to synthesize all this information so that you could have something to talk about with them and then write it into an actual letter and mail it. I mean, nobody even knows what I'm talking about right now, but the essential need of doing all this research, which was to be able to have a message that actually resonates with the prospect, is still valid, and it's still something that we need to do. What AI does is speed that up to the point where you don't have to sit there all day reading 10K reports and scouring through analyst calls. The machine can actually be trained to go out and scour through that information, pull out bits of insight, and then deliver it back into your CRM so that you instantly can take that information and put it into potentially the AI writer that you have you know, next to it, and create a short message that really resonates with the prospect. So instead of, again, trying to draw, you know, pull from the air or make this stuff up, you now have the AI doing a lot of the work for you in the background. So then if you think about it, some of the best salespeople and SDRs out there are amazing at the follow-up. Even though they haven't heard a yes at this point, they haven't necessarily heard a no, or there was some interest, you know, a couple of years ago, and that person still works there, or they moved to a different company, but they know about you, they know about the brand, they know about the problem that you solve, and now could be the right time to reach out and get the deal going again. And the problem becomes, you see, even if you use a sales engagement platform, there's like a gazillion tasks that you look at and you go, there's so many tasks now that I don't even know where to begin here. And if you go back and you think about how your list for the day can be automatically prioritized by AI, you take it a step further. Now there's tools out there that will automatically prioritize and help you to write your follow-ups. And so we're getting to the point where there was so much leakage in especially with inbound leads that weren't potentially ready to buy. Now we got to that dream that we were trying to get to, where no lead is left behind. Every lead is valuable. Every lead needs a amount of attention until they literally get to the point where they're not in the industry anymore, they're no longer interested, and they signal to you to leave them alone. So having automated follow-ups just makes your life a million times easier, so that can be back running in the background while you're working on other stuff. And then finally, from a leadership perspective, the sales performance analytics. I mean, this is something that we've seen an amazing spike in the amount of companies that really run their sales team like a machine, and are looking for the slightest incremental conversion rate improvement they could potentially do. And this is why we've seen the rise in revenue operations, to have somebody who's really focused on understanding the analytics of the pipeline and revenue machine, and looking for levers where you could potentially juice up the results. And so if you think about the potential here for finding revenue leakage, finding poor conversion results, finding new markets, and providing recommendations based on the AI running an analysis of your particular sales performance, this is super powerful. And so again, you don't have to do it yourself. You can rely on the machines to help you with that. So what's next? And what are the top SDRs and their managers and directors doing in response for this? I think the main thing is we don't have to be scared of this. You definitely, if you start listening to podcasts from Elon Musk and others, you freak out, but they're thinking very macro level and Terminator, type of response to AI. I don't think that we're going to be there for a while. And in the meantime, if we are not utilizing these tools as SDRs and inside sales reps, your competitors probably are, and they're in a race for attention to your prospects. And if you're coming in late, you don't know how to use these things, or you're not really focused on upgrading your skills to be that superhuman SDR, you might be left behind. So I would just say, I'm running the AI, it's not running me. And I'm going to utilize these tools and see what works and what doesn't, and try to push this forward. Now, you might not be able to get budget for using some of these tools, and you have to ask for permission and things like that. So be sure to always check with your manager and make sure that it's okay to start plugging these things in. There might be security reviews and stuff like that. But a lot of the companies that do this, they do like 14-day free trials, or they have freemiums, or you can get a partnership and stuff like that, so that you can actually try before you buy, or use a low level version of it. And then if you're starting to see good results, it's really helping you, your day is moving along faster, then you have a business case to eventually go and upgrade and be able to track this. And we actually, on Tenbound, in the directory, you can look at all the different companies that are doing this. And if you're building a company, that supports sales technology or marketing technology, I would encourage you to go and list it on the Tenbound directory. It's free to list there, and users and the companies can use this resource to be able to bookmark and compare different solutions to the same problem and make sure that they're making the right choice. Definitely don't want to get anybody in trouble, but it's almost imperative, I would say, especially if you're in the tech industry, that you start to learn about how AI could potentially help and start to understand how these tools work. So the directory is just at tenbound.com/directory, or you can just go to Insights right there and drop it down. And we've got the market map, and most of the companies that are in the sales technology space are listed there. If not, you can add your company for free. I would encourage everybody to join the pipeline and revenue community that we put on, which is a free Slack community. And I'll put the link to join. Every day in there, there's other, from SDRs to managers to VPs and directors trying to figure out how to drive more pipeline and revenue, and helping each other out in the community, learning a ton. I'm learning a ton from being in there. And then when you're ready to upgrade, we've got the Tenbound Plus membership, which is just a low cost way to get all the online courses, the community, the templates, the frameworks, everything that we do at Tenbound, where you can take it and do it yourself at the company if you're growing and moving up in your career. So I'd love to talk to anybody. What do you think about this? And how are you using AI? I'll see you in the community. Definitely get on the newsletter, and let's keep in touch about how you end up using all the new technological advances that are coming out to support the SDR world. Thank you so much for joining.